Chris. How are you?
Morning, Ati. Well, yourself.
Good. Chris, can you just give us just a rundown as to how things have been just in the next since the guys got together after the loss to the Stormers and then looking forward to the game against the Lions? Just how important is it to just pick yourself up with another South African derby?
Yeah, obviously the loss against the Stormers was a bitter pill to swallow. I think it was a great game, not only because of the crowd. I just thought the battle on the field was an exceptional battle. And it was just a pity. I thought we had opportunities there to obviously to win the game, but hats off to the Stormers. And like you said, obviously we need a win to get some momentum. And I have to compliment the players. Yesterday and today we had an exceptional good training, and the spirits is high. And we all know how important this game is, and to come out with a victory.
Chris, as the coaching staff, how do you then go about stopping that element of complacency within the core? We know the record that the Lions have against the South African franchises has not been good, but then how do you stop your players from relaxing and saying, no, this will be a walk in the park against the Lions?
Also, I mean, well, I have to compliment the Lions. Obviously, they've been under the pump for a long time, but they were an exceptional team. They showed it on the weekend. And for us, whenever we play the Lions, we understand how important that game is. So for us as a coaching staff, what we do is we just focus on the process. It's important to understand how important. I mean, we don't need any further motivation for this game. It's for us where we are at the moment. Playing a South African team always there's extra motivation, but even for us, just understanding how important this game is in terms of lock points. But for us, like I said, just focus on the process. It's easy to become panicky, say a lot of stuff, but the players get a lot of confidence in just if we stick to the process and the systems as is.
Chris, just last one from me. Looking at this last stretch of games, what are some of the boxes that the team wants to take, before going on to those knockout stages as things stand? You're quite certain of a place.
Well, the first one is we'd like to have a win. That's a box we'd like to tick, not one, a few. To get that win, we understand that we need to convert when it matters. We had a few opportunities against the Stormers where we could have converted. So that would be always one of our main focus points. And then understanding the transition and how we need to connect on defence, that's important. So going into this final stretch is making sure that we nail those important aspects, the same with our set pieces, because that's the aspects you'll need to nail when you go into the playoffs.
Just wanted to find out how dangerous is this Lions team now, also just considering, the poor run of form that they've been on and how they've just gotten that victory against the Glasgow Warriors. And Cash in his post-match spoke about how they'll be, in every single game, they'll be fighting with their backs against the wall. So how dangerous are they right now?
Oh, very dangerous. Obviously, you say poor run of form, but they only have poor run of form because they don't get the results. But we all know they're a very good team and can play very good rugby. So at any day, they can take any team away. We've seen it in the past. And what Cass has said in this, post-match conference you just said now, they've been like that for years. They don't go away because they've grown this mentality over time where they don't give up. Okay, so any team that's going to play the Lions must know that they're going to have that attitude. So for us, like I said, it's important to respect that and to understand that. And just to end off, to summarize, is they're very dangerous. We've seen it on the weekend against Glasgow. But I would say they're very dangerous on any day. Because the general perception is we should beat them. And I said, I didn't get the results, but they are a very good team that plays good rugby.
Hi, Chris. Obviously, a lot has been said about the Lions not being able to get one over the South African unions. Does that then place added pressure on you guys when you go into training, knowing that it could change for the Lions due to you guys losing to the Lions? Does that place any further pressure on you guys and how you go about your game plan?
That would probably be a fair assumption that there is this pressure when you play the Lions. If you look at it from that point of view, I think we have enough pressure on ourselves in terms of just making sure we nail the areas we need to nail to get momentum and get a win. But you're generally correct there in saying that whenever you play a team where the general perception is that you need to win that team or beat that team, there is added pressure. For us, we understand that. We've understood that for years. I think the pressure is what we put on ourselves to make sure we get momentum, but mainly we're on a journey. We understand that, and we all know rugby works in cycles, so we've got a long-term goal, and we need to make sure we still steer in that direction while we get the short-term momentum and gains.
Okay, maybe just as a follow-up, in terms of the makeup of the forwards, I've gathered that the likes of Lizo Goboka and Mihlali Mosi are back in the mix in terms of being injury-free. Is there a temptation to tinker with your forward pack? It seems to have been a more settled combination with the likes of Kyle Brink, Rossouw, in the last couple of games with Van Staden as well. Is there the temptation to look at certain games and say maybe we can try new combinations and rest a few guys, looking at the fact that there's going to be a frantic couple of games and two competitions coming very soon?
Yes, I think that temptation would always be there. Not a temptation, just common knowledge or common sense. So Mosi is back. It's actually, I think when we played the Lions the first game, he got injured. I feel he's running with us. I think it's probably a week or two away. Lizo is also back with us, looking good. So the Currie Cup comes up, so maybe it'll be easy to slot them there just to make sure they get proper game fitness. But that's Jack's decision. But like you said, I think the temptation will always be there to finding the balance between keeping the team the same or giving those guys the needed opportunities.
Can you just reflect on Dale on Monestein? I see the franchise is organizing him a benefit here. Just what he has been to the Bulls and to rugby in the country in general.
So you're asking about the benefit. I just want to get that right.
Yes, just to reflect on Mona's career.
Yeah. So Mona's been a legend. I mean, to achieve what he's achieved over the years, just being in the condition that he's currently is amazing. Obviously, he's like wine. He just gets better over time. And we all know the records he achieved over the year. I would say in a couple of years' time, when we look back, we'd really realize that he's been an exceptional player that only comes along every 50 years or so. Just be able to still train at the fierce pressure and intensity at 38 is unbelievable. He's a good guy, and yeah, I just say, I mean, I was only privileged to see his career the last 3-4 years at the Bulls, but I mean, where he's been at Stad Francais and the Springboks and the Bulls way long ago, and even those coaches will tell you the same. It's been an unbelievable player.
Just after the Stormers game now, having had an extra week to prepare, looking back at that and going into the Lions, what would you say are the main improvements you guys need to do?
So that question was asked, but what I basically said was a bitter pill to swallow. But in saying that, just mainly because we had opportunities to finish that game well. I think there was, again, 1 or 2 soft moments where we lost concentration on attack and defence, which cost us in the end. But in saying that, I thought it was an unbelievable good and great day for South African rugby to have 40,000 in the stands and just the type of rugby that was played. It was an immense battle, and although being a bitter pill for us to swallow, we still know that's areas we need to nail. We spoke about converting in the right areas at times. where we need to get points, and then making sure we switch on when there's a transition in our defence. I think, like I said, it was a nice derby, and going into this week, that's the areas we need to make sure we nail.
And with the Lions, we all know about the off-field issues, but they showed they can still play a really good game of rugby at the weekend. So they certainly a team that can't be written off.
Yes, yeah, that's 100% correct. So I just mentioned it earlier as well. So if you look at the Lions, most of the people think they're a team that needs to be rolled over easily, and they're in poor form. The reality is they don't get the results, but that doesn't make them not a good team. Maybe they don't score at the right times, but they play good rugby as they showed on the weekend. And somebody asked me earlier that there's always added pressure when you play a team that you're supposed to beat. That's a general perception in the public. For us, we understand how dangerous they are at these times, and they've over time obviously got a mentality where they don't give up. They fight us to the end, and that obviously is what a respected obviously opponent needs to do when you play in a derby. For us, it will be to manage that pressure, but also manage the pressure which we put on ourselves, just to make sure we end the season properly and get properly and get momentum in terms of getting a win and aligning ourselves with the right aspects of the game for the playoffs.
Chris, I know I've asked you this before the Stormers game, but obviously not having guys like Kurt and Kanan there is a bit of an issue, and you feel that you guys must still continue as you normally play. But with not having those kind of guys, must you change anything in your attack at all for the Lions game?
No, I won't say we would stick to our processes. Obviously, we analyse teams, but I think we all know Kanan and Kirtley adds a lot to the team, but I think the guys we have can play the same game. Obviously, you will never get a like-for-like in terms of Kirtley. He's one in his kind, but I think the players we have got the same ability. So, yeah, if you go back to that game, it's 4 points in it. If we score in the end, everybody's happy. I think it was a fair game in terms of even Stevens. The first half we were probably more dominant, and then they came back. So if you make any erratic decisions now and change your processes, then obviously it doesn't come across that confident. So I would say the players we have can do the same job. Obviously they would add something different, but we won't change anything unnecessary.